Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of Let's Play Amazon, Guardians of Eden. Over the course of the main game, I had mentioned that our hero here, Jason, could get a game over by dying or having some sort of terrible thing stop his adventure. So we're going to take a look at a few of these game overs and death scenes that our character can get. These are usually called shock warnings. What will happen is when we have accomplished our game over, the screen will flash a little warning with some alarm music letting us know that something terrible is about to happen to Jason. And we're going to take the time to look at a few of them. We're currently right now in Chapter 2, if I remember its secret code, and I think this is the first possible game over Jason can get, and this is being spotted by the guards outside the vault. Stop, in the name of the law. You see now the guard is trying to tell us to go back. Now that's going by a little too fast for me to read. This is a restricted area. Leave immediately or I will be forced to arrest you. Well, let's keep going. Alright, here's our first shock warning. When you do not leave the security area quickly enough, you are arrested and convicted as a commie spy. You embark on a new career stamping out license plates. So yeah, poor Jason ends up in the slammer with his new cellmate Bruno. And yeah, that's the end of his adventure. He'll never know what happened to Alan. Well, we're back outside the security vault. And this time we've sent the guards off into the woods. But you may remember that a bear is eventually supposed to come out of the woods over here. And we distract it by using the trash. But what happens if the bear is coming out of the woods and there's no trash to distract him? Oh, well, there's our friend Smokey right now. After failing to find any lunch at the garbage can, the bear eats you instead. Now, actually, I've never seen this one. This is pretty goofy. Okay, so now we are on Chapter 3, Heavy Metal Monster. Normally, we trick Bob by wearing the garbage can over our head to see if we can get him to leave. But this time, we're just going to walk right up to him and see what he has to say. Bob has a flaw in his program that directs him to shoot. So, Jason, poor Jason, just gets shot in the chest by Bob. This is a screen we'll get for a lot of the times. In fact, I think almost every time Jason gets shot, this is the screen we see, although the dialogue is different depending on the circumstances of him getting shot. We might take a look at a few of them, but I don't think we're going to take a look at all of them. Okay, here we are in Chapter 5, Flight of Doom. And our pilot friend Martin here wants us to jump out the plane. Now, we could be polite and we could just walk up to the plane and jump out.
I'm waiting.
But if we tried to walk up to the door and jump out, well, Martin gets a little, let's say, trigger itchy. Pilot feels you are too close and pulls the trigger. Well, we're still in Flight of Doom, but now Martin has taken the plunge. So, normally we would go through the cockpit door using the parachute here. But what do you say we use the parachute to see if we can escape? The parachute is not large enough to support you, and you hit the trees at 140 miles per hour. Yeah, poor Jason, not getting out that way. Well, we know we can't take the parachute to get out of the plane, but what would happen if we took King Boomy's advice and simply did nothing? Plane crashes in the jungle canopy at 200 miles per hour. And yeah, we get burnt up pretty bad. Alright, and speaking of doing nothing, what happens if we just wait here and let the plane sink into the water? And well, getting deep enough in the water, the plane sinks and the piranhas attack before you even get out the door. So poor Jason becomes a snack. Okay, now we are on Chapter 6, El Loco, and we are in El Loco's hotel. Now, you don't really get a game over doing this, but it can affect the outcome of the game if you try to get this wallet before taking care of the rat. As you are reaching for the wallet, the pack rat inside the hole decides to add your index finger to his collection. Yep, poor Jason just got his finger bitten off. Now, I'm trying to remember whether or not this is true, but this should affect the ending you get. As a result of getting so maimed like this, the interaction you get with Maya at the very end of the game changes. And speaking of Maya, here she is.
A pleasure to see an American. Join me for a drink?
Well, we're just going to be a little curt with her and get straight to her questions. Now, you may remember during the course of the game, we had to answer her questions, and if we answered correctly, we could prove that we were, in fact, Alan's brother Jason. But now, what happens if you give her the wrong answers? You come to my country and try to play me for a fool? I will not stay here to listen to this. The woman walks out of the door and never returns. You spend the rest of your life in a futile attempt to locate Alan. So yeah, poor Jason, since he didn't know the correct answers, ended up having to spend the rest of his life looking fruitlessly for his brother. Okay, now we're back on the Bridge of Death. So we can get shot if we take too long, but what happens if Jason's big heavy body tries to cross the bridge? Your weight is just enough to cause the remaining support cable to snap, and you fall to the bottom of the gorge. Alright, well, the Bridge of Death is over. But now we are on Chapter 8, the Slave Traders. And this chapter is probably the one that has the most ways for you to meet your demise. Although they're not necessarily varied, you just can be killed a lot of ways. You can get shot by Sam over here, or you can get shot by the captain. But getting shot is not the only way you can get taken out in this stage. We'll wait for Sam to go around the back of the boat. What happens if you try to go for a swim before taking out the fish? While taking a moonlight swim, you discover that piranha really can strip flesh to the bone. Of course, fish are not the only problem here. If Sam gets a good look at us, Sam Salvador spots you and lets you have it. And this is pretty much the same thing that happens on the boat. If he sees you on the boat, or if he hears you moving around on the boat, he just shoots you. Alright, well, we're here on the Amazon Queen now, and we've just rescued Maya. Now, if we stick around in here, eventually the captain will get a shot off on us. But if you remember, we were able to distract him by making a Molotov cocktail and throwing it onto the gunpowder outside this porthole.
Hurry, Jason!
So the captain has enough sense to go deal with the fire instead of shooting at us. But what happens if we take too long to get out of the cabin?
Hurry, Jason!
The crate outside the window explodes, destroying the ship. Unfortunately, you're still aboard. Did you think we were done with Chapter 8 yet? No, I wish we were, but we're not, because there's still more to do. You may remember we get to this little native village, and the medicine man is trying to cure this sick boy, and they think we're responsible for what happens. Normally we would use this crate of fireworks to distract them, but what happens if we take too long and we're not able to heal the boy in time? Well, we took too long, and for our trouble we get turned into lunch. After you fail to prove your divinity, the natives eat you for lunch. Alright, but now we're river rafting again. When we were river rafting, I told you if we ran into a rock, we would get a game over. So here's what happens. Canoe hits the rocks and capsizes, and the piranhas make you their lunch guests. And this is what happens no matter what point when you're canoeing and you hit a rock. Whether it's the first, second, or third time you're canoeing, this is it. Now, hitting the rocks is not the only danger that you have while canoeing. If you take the wrong direction, you can also get a game over. So we're going to go and take the right side of this bend up here instead of the left, and we'll take a look at what happens. Now looking at it, you may think you've gone the right way, because it opens up into more lake, or more river. But as you can see, you take the wrong branch and accidentally discover the 4th tallest waterfall in South America. Now in this case, we ended up going over a waterfall, but you can get different endings, well, different game over screens when you take the wrong turns, including canoeing into a village that decides they want to turn you into dinner. And I think there's one where you get lost and you just turn into old people. And speaking of old people, it's Max Stroheim, and I don't like this guy, but I've already mentioned that. And that's because even the simple fact of talking with him can get you a game over, and you would not even realize it. It's not even a matter of you say the wrong things to him and you get a game over, it's just that talking to him will get you a game over. So, at least let's start now at least being kind of polite with him, see if we can get him to work with us. So here is one potential conclusion we can get from talking to him. You wait around for some time, but I called him Max. Hans Stroheim never speaks to you again. Finally, you return home, knowing you have failed. Well, now this time, let's be a little more assertive, a little more aggressive with Hans. Deciding that you threaten him and his work, Hans Stroheim has the natives in the village kill you. So yeah, if you get too nasty with him, he'll have his men kill you. Alright, but now we're jumping ahead a little bit, and this is the, 12th chapter, The Secret Passage, and this is right after Maya got shot. We know that Sanchez and his men are waiting for us right outside. And if we take too long in the waterfall, well... Sanchez's men find you and hold a firing squad practice. And still here on the Secret Passage chapter, you may remember these archers that were taking shots at us. Now if we stayed close to the right wall behind these pillars, they couldn't hit us. But what happens if we go out into their line of fire? the Amazon sentries spot you and fill you full of arrows. And yeah, it's just the same as if Jason had gotten shot. So Sanchez and his men have forced their way in. And you may remember that we used the dynamite and the lighter to create our escape. But what happens if we're not quite quick enough to get away? You did not get far away before the dynamite exploded and you were blown into 1,000 pieces. Alright, there's one more death to check out, and that of course happens down here in the pit, with the thing in the pit, in chapter 13. You know eventually this giant ant is going to come out from behind that portcullis. And there it is. Normally we would try to fend it off with a torch, but instead we're just going to see what happens when we get too close. And even before we get the shock warning, we see the ant snap Jason in half. You come too close to the powerful jaws of the ant, and he snipes you in two before devouring you. Okay, normally I would say that was it, but there are a few more things we can do. I've turned on the hint systems, so I want to give you an idea of what the hints are like. See, we click on the turtle shell, and right now we're getting our online help. We are currently level 1, and our IQ is 170, we're a genius. And it gives you a hint on what to do with the shell. This could raise your hopes if you know how to use it. That's a little hint that gives us a clue that we can use the shell to get the torch like we did when we were playing. But if we click on more, we now get the level 2 hint, but our IQ score goes down 3 points. You should take a stand with the shell. Well, now at this point it should become more clear to you what you're supposed to do with the shell. If we click it one more time, move the shell and use it to reach something. Well, in this case, we know it's the torch. So we're going to move the shell. And there is the ant. Now I want to be quick in using the hints, because I want to be able to get our IQ down as low as possible, as quickly as possible. The way to this creature's heart is through its stomach. Now you might think that it has something to do with eating, and that's probably not too far-fetched, because you remember, we're going to use the sap to get its attention. This monster's weakness is his sweet tooth. Again, we know about the sap. Find the treat that will divert the giant ant's attention, and set him up for the kill. To attack, use the up arrow key. Alright, so now we're just going to take a look at the torch while we're at it too. Alright, no one likes to get fried. Well, that's reasonable advice. To get the torch, you'll need to reach new heights. Meaning, of course, we just can't reach it. We gotta climb up on top of something. Move the shell over the wall. You'll then be able to reach the torch. Well, we did all that. Let's grab that torch. Now we gotta push the ant back, because we need to get to those boots. These could help you with the giant ant, the boot. Well, in that case we get a hint that they're useful in fighting the ant. You need something to wrap things up. Get the boots for the laces. Combine the laces with other objects to create a tool of destruction. So while the torch is still burning, let's grab the boots. And now we're also going to look at the spear. And you see now our IQ has dropped under 100. We're of average intelligence. This may help you reach your objective. Well, we need a little more hint than that. There must be some importance attached to this. Again, they're making clues that tell us to tie things together. Combine the spear with other objects to fashion a weapon. To use the weapon, press the up arrow key. Well, that's more direct, but we can't do that yet. So we still need to look at the sap. Flowers make a nice gift. If you ignore this, you're a sap. So see, now the clues are starting to come together. Use the knife on this flower to release its savory sap. It's a real treat for giant ants. In that case, it's just flat out telling you. And a lot of times that's what the third level hint is, it's just flat out telling you what to do. And I did not grab the spear, so let me do that too. Nope, we've already checked out the giant ant. We dropped the torch, that's okay. These are here only to brighten up the otherwise drab pit of death. So yeah, there's not much we can do with the vines. How about the Amazon woman? See, now our intelligence is so low, we're treating as if we were lobotomized. We're getting help from these femme fatales. No, they're not going to help us. Unfortunately, there are no emergency exits to be found. We have no bone to pick with this poor guy. Well, let's make our spear real quick. Alright, you go ahead, you get that sap. Now hopefully our intelligence has gone down low enough that we're going to get an alternate ending. It's not terribly different, but let's take a look at it anyways. So here's where things changed a little bit. Once again, we've shown Maya that we have a good heart. However, I have prayed the day would come where I'd meet a man that I could take as a mate, who would be of superior strength and intellect. A type who would be willing to help our tribe in our sacred duty of protecting the great forest. A man of independence who is clever and quick thinking. I'm sorry, you've used the help line too much. You're not the man for me. Oh, well, poor Jason. He wasn't bright enough, so he missed out on the girl. But that's it for this bonus episode. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope maybe you'll go out and give Amazon a try. Take care of yourselves.